How's it going, guys? Today we are going to be taking a look at mac and cheese. This works well for a meal the day of, but can also be frozen and enjoyed later. To start off here, we're going to need to get, some cheese. Today we're going to be using some applewood smoked cheddar, some Castello blue cheese, but any blue cheese will do, some Gouda, because it's Gouda, and finally a medium cheddar. Today we're just going to be using some black diamond. We will also need some milk. We are going to use 1%. Let's just get to the English side there for you. There you are. We're going to need some margarine. You're going to need an all-purpose flour. Not necessarily this big of a bag, but that's what we're working with here. Some thick-cut bacon that can usually be found at your local butcher. Some croutons. We got lightly seasoned. And finally, your pasta of choice. The more bends, the more sauce it's going to hold. So, you're going to want to start the pasta by lightly salting some water and proceed to boil it on high heat. Once the water comes to a boil, you're going to want to add the pasta, stirring occasionally for about 8 minutes.
What the fuck are you doing? What is that?
None of the other shit's... Oh, it's in there. It will go in the oven afterwards, so if anything, you're going to want to slightly undercook it. Next up is to create our sauce. We are going to start by grating about 1 to 2 cups of each of our cheeses.
You just cut through the plastic? What kind of an animal are you?
How else are you going to do it?
You rip it open.
For today's sauce, I used 2 cups of cheddar, 1.5 cups of Gouda, 1 cup of applewood smoked cheddar, and about a half cup of blue cheese crumbled up. It just wouldn't grade pretty well. You can also add or subtract cheeses depending on your preferences, but I highly recommend giving this blend a try. Once our cheese is grated, we will need to make the base for our sauce. This is done by creating a roux with the margarine and milk over low heat. I used about 1/4 cup of each. Once the roux becomes homogeneous, we can bring the heat to just under medium. You are then going to want to add 3 cups of milk slowly while constantly stirring. As you add the milk, you're going to want to look for the sauce to thicken a bit before you start adding the rest in. With everything combined, we can go ahead and add our cheese. You can add it all at once if you wish, but I like to add about 1/3 at a time to allow the cheese to melt properly. Once all the cheese is melted down, season with salt and pepper to taste. And taste it a lot, it's really good. With our cheese sauce and pasta done, you're going to want to lay the pasta out in a casserole dish before adding half of your sauce and stirring. I like to do this before adding the rest of the sauce on top just to make sure all the noodles are coated. Next, we are going to cook up some bacon bits to put on top of our mac and cheese. You're going to want to cook the bacon in a lightly oiled non-stick pan over medium heat until cooked through. This will crisp up in the oven so you don't have to worry about cooking it too much. Looking back, I would have cooked more bacon and mixed it in with the pasta. The bacon was really a great addition to the dish. Once cooked, go ahead and add the bacon on top of the mac and cheese, spreading it evenly out across. Lastly, we're going to add some crumbled croutons to the top. You can crush them in a bag or just in your hand like I did here. This adds a little extra flavor and a nice crunch on top as well. Once done, you're going to want to cook this at 450 for about 10 minutes or until the croutons brown and the sauce is bubbling. If you're cooking this from frozen, cook it covered with aluminum foil at about 350 for 30 minutes before cranking the heat to 400 for about another 20, or until it's brown on top and bubbling once again. Once bubbling, remove it from the oven, grab yourself a scoop and enjoy. This dish is really easy to make ahead and serves about 6. And come on, who's going to turn down some mac and cheese?